Hello again. We are back on the attack. This is DrumBoy Reads Slow, and we are doing a special review of music. I'm normally known for my comic commentary that nobody watches, but actually, I like music and I like to weigh my mind on current releases. I don't want to go back in time. I don't want to rehash what everyone's already said. I'm already going to be doing that a little bit with the today's, and they're only about a week or two old. But anyway, I got two bands for you today. Two completely different ends of the metal spectrum. Well, maybe not completely different ends. They kind of have some derivatives of each other. But we're going to be doing a special spotlight on a heavy metal group that I really enjoyed, and I was really surprised by that would be released in this day and age of overproduction and the whole stock meta approach to literally everything lately. And then I'm just gonna do a quick recommend, also just a short review. Don't even consider it a review. This is more like a recommend for a band they definitely put the work in and did something cool, and I wanna highlight them, even if they weren't my exact taste, which is a funny thing to say about a band that plays I guess you could call it the same exact label as as my own metal band likes to carry as far as genres go, which is kind of funny, but it's that shows you how subjective music, and especially metal, can be for us curmudgeon fans that we are. But anyway, let's get into it. All right, so band number one today. This is going to be the quick recommend. This is not my pick for November, but we got Morbikon. Okay, they are from Richmond, Virginia. This is their second full length, as far as I know. Yeah, so like I said, this is under the label of Black Thrash. The album title is Lost Within the Astral Crypts. All right, cool. So it's kind of like a, kind of reminds me of like an Inquisition album title. But yeah, no, that's a pretty cool cover there. That is definitely a cool cover. So I'm gonna just out right out the gate, as I'm a huge black metal fan, and I like elements of thrash in my black metal. I do like bands like that. Obviously, I can be kind of hard on bands that don't have an aesthetic that I like, and I'm also not, when something has that black label on it, that black metal label attached to it, I don't really love the clean production. And Morbikon definitely did something that has a very frenetic feel. It kind of, on the black metal, kind of the melodic death metal side of black metal, like bands like Dissection and Sacramentum. I got a little bit of a Sacramentum vibe here. That was kind of like the black metal I felt in it, and the thrashiness, it was definitely there. But it almost felt like that more like death metal-y thrash. But anyway, I don't know that the production really served them. It was very that crisp, that very stock feel that every band seems to want to go. And I know this wasn't right for something super raw, like Baptism's Wisdom and Hate EP, but it could have been like a little bit more foggy for my tastes. But I kind of get that nobody wants to release stuff to have it fail, and I know that the stock sound, that very tight click, quantized, everything to the grid, everything was really polished on this. I can't say with my one listen through that I know for a fact that anything was quantized at all. But it's a very clean production style. And for me, there was also something aesthetically that I personally, I just get kind of like disillusioned with certain elements of certain black metal. But this was from Virginia. and I'm obviously featuring it in the episode. So this was cool, and I heard some really cool transition stuff. This was definitely experienced musicians, especially in the metal field. They've done their homework, and out of Virginia, there's always these amazing guitar bands. This you know what, this is kind of like on the scale of like, where I rate things. This kind of reminds me of that last Grenadier album, in that it was better though. Felt more natural in that sense. But only a little bit. Don't worry, Grenadier. I'm not ripping on you. So we're like at a safe like seven range for me, and I'm really hard on stuff. What I want to say is, I think for me this was more like okay, I'm gonna come back to this later because I can see the potential, and I wanna understand, like these bands that kind of go with this aesthetic of black metal. Maybe I want to figure out what the beauty is that I'm missing out on, because outside of that, the playing was technical. They definitely took some chances. With the production, they had parts happening where there were things started to diverge, and so you had two things going on at once, and then they kind of like came together and boom, right into that transition, and it was cool. I like that. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna revisit this, and I wanna, if it flew under your radar, go check out Lost Within the Astral Crypts by Morbikon. Label was Tank Crimes. Get it, hey, if you can, get it direct from the label. Give them some support. But anyhow, that was released on November 21st, and it's brand spanking new. I will not be ever posting musical clips in my videos. This is YouTube. This is the internet. Just type in what I said. Check it out. It's up there. I mean, it's always up there. But anyhow, so let's get to band number 2. And by band number 2, I do mean my November pick of the month. This is a heavy metal band from Finland. The label is Cruz del Sur Music. I probably, it's up on the screen. But the band is Mausoleum Gate with Space, Rituals, and Magic. Okay. This past summer, I really went on like a big time Black Sabbath crawl. I just could not get enough of those 7 of those first 8 albums, and then I was all about the like Mob Rules, the Ronnie James Dio era was nice too. And then I actually didn't realize how deep Black Sabbath's discography really was. I was familiar with those 2 eras. I knew that they had other vocalists, but I ended up checking out just about everything. And I'm not so much thinking about those latter albums, but I'm thinking about those early ones, and then like Mob Rules as well. This band primarily was channeling like a Black Sabbath vibe for me, but they also had a little bit of Iron Maiden. And then again, with the keyboards, you had like a mixture of like Ozzy, solo Ozzy's, more keyboardy songs, mixed in with a little bit of like Pink Floyd. And this all is like taking place in like track number 1 of Space, Rituals, and Magic here. And I'm looking at, my buddy, and I want to just like clarify here. I was actually watching another content creators, they had like a everything released in November kind of list. And I was kind of, mulling through it. It was about 30 bands or so 30 new releases, and not that much really spoke to me. I mean, I know I was working off of short clips, but even the ones that I ended up, following through on, the only reason I ended up checking them out or even going back to the list after my first watch through was that this band, it's actually their closing track on this record. They have just a short sample on this list I checked out. MetalCollision.com was the content creator, by the way. But they had this short little clip from this record, and it just immediately spoke to me. I just was immediately entranced. Nothing else on that list had the production qualities either. That there was a very natural feel to all of this. But anyway, I had such an enormous experience with this record. I had to go back and recheck that list, and there really wasn't anything that came close to touching this at all. I love my heavy metal. Like this isn't exactly a fair fight. I think that's probably my favorite genre in all of metal at this point in my life. And I gotta say, getting through this record, I heard so much. I think even stuff that could even be like dated all the way back in the the 60s. So we got stuff spanning 60s, 70s, and 80s. I heard a little bit of Def Leppard in there. I heard, I already mentioned Pink Floyd. I heard the Doors in this, and it was natural. It did not feel over edited. It just felt like very meticulous. I shouldn't say that. It had a very natural editing to it though, but like the way like Steely Dan would have very good editing. Maybe a hair below that. They're kind of like the pinnacle of that thing. But this band did a fantastic. If they were doing a lot of resampling and stuff, if this was quantized, they did a heck of a job hiding that. The vocals, they, some people might kind of think, oh, this is an unoriginal approach, but they had that early Ozzy, like the way that like he and a few others were kind of belting it out, and not exactly worrying about like having perfect pitch, but like hitting certain notes in that dreadful way. This guy was maybe a little bit more upbeat, but he definitely. I didn't go through and get all the names of the band members this time, but yeah, I definitely that hit a note with me, especially with Ozzy passing recently. But yeah, this was like classic heavy metal, a very natural feeling production, and songs that just bled so much of the 3 best decades of music. For me at least. I mean, there was so much rock and roll, keyboard, synthesizers, big part of it, but the guitar work was, very, very reeky of, that early Black Sabbath and, Iron Maiden as well. I had such a fun time with this. It's being in 2025 and being able to listen to stuff like this. We're blessed, So, some bands still get it, at least in my eyes. I would rather hear, I'd rather hear something like this than something, hyper edited, quantized, resampled, like I said, I have no way of knowing, but I like that. I like that about a record. And this, they fooled me. I really liked it. So, Mausoleum Gate is my band in November, and my the owners, the sole owners and creators of a record that was so fresh and so thorough and so enjoyable from beginning to end. This is what, like those bands trying to be like retro, and then they kind of became, hyper popular. I'm thinking like how like everyone thought like Ghost initially was like such a hearkening to the past. This was a hard. I don't know why my little notes, I pointed at that. This record was if you thought Ghost was lame, check this out. This gets it 100% right. What it's if you're gonna play from this era, have the right production, have the right feel, capture that feel, and that's what Mausoleum Gate did for me. I'm giving this record, all the flowers. Give it, whatever you want to consider, a perfect score, because it made me feel so many feelings that, reminded me of so many records and so many different bands and so many different sounds. And like, honestly, it was kind of like listening to like one of the popular, rock radio stations, back when I didn't know all of this and I was just hearing it for the first time. That's what it took me back to. And yeah, I was so pleased. So give Mausoleum Gate a listen. Keep your ears open. You're gonna hear some stuff. Hey, you might not, you might not find it, the most original, but in a sea of bands that are starting to all kind of sound the same, something that sticks out like this is original. And the fact that they got that much feeling in there means that they know what they're doing. Those are two elements that so many bands seem so worried about by overproducing things, and everything has to be perfect, and and it's just like, what? Way to show everyone that you have no confidence in your own voice. And this band had their own voice. They had elements that reminded me of other bands, but they were their own thing, and that's the most important piece for me. And I want to hear them become even more their own thing. I am definitely looking forward to anything else Mausoleum Gate has to offer. Hail Finland, that was amazing. Yeah, so that was my pick of the week. All right, I'm done rambling on that. Just a reminder, if you don't know, I do comic commentary, and I do have some stuff coming up. Just got to get the reading done on it. But yeah, stay tuned for that. And we're back in business. We're back on the vids. Eventually, I'll get back on some drumming. Kind of threw out my back shoveling. Did you get hit by this snowstorm? Man, that was nuts. All right, anyway, take care. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.